afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Thelma Craig, and this is Real Talk, Menthol Moments. You know, I'm with the Colorado Black Health Collaborative, and our mission is to achieve health equity in Colorado's Black community. We're working on a project tackling menthol in the Black community. And as you know, or you may not know, menthol has been a product that has been targeted in the Black community for decades. You know, a large percentage of Black men smoke menthol. A large percentage of Black people smoke menthol. Even the youth are attracted to menthol and flavors and vaping. So our project really is to bring about awareness and education about this issue, because guess what? It's a social justice issue. It's a social justice issue because it largely impacts the Black community. And so we want to address that today by telling someone's story. We want to welcome Mr. Daniel Moore. He's a Coloradan. He was originally from St. Louis, but we met him through one of our partners or one of our members of Colorado Health Collaborative. And she said he had a story to tell about smoking and his experience in smoking. So we want to welcome you, Mr. Moore, and thank you for agreeing to talk to us. Welcome, Mr. Moore. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Thelma, for inviting me, and thank also you guys for what you do. I know that you're a real value to the Black community, because we need a lot of information about our health, because it's a really concern for me and my family.
Well, thank you. And we chose Mr. Moore because he had, like I said, he had a story to tell about his experience smoking, and he quit. I think he told me before we talked that his life was saved when he stopped smoking. So tell me, Mr. Moore, how long have you been tobacco free?
I quit completely in 1994. Mm-hmm. I had tried before, but I stopped for good in 1994.
Well, okay, that's good. That's wonderful. Do you remember what brand you smoked? Well, I'm sure you remember what brand you smoked, but I bet you smoke Cools.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I knew all the people in my community was smoking Cools and selling.
Right.
Did you smoke Cools?
I did.
See, that's menthol. Menthol is highly filtered with menthol flavor in there, and so that's really a danger to us. And we'll talk about that later. But do you remember what attracted you to Cools? Do you remember what really made you take the Cool choice or do the Cool smoke?
Okay. Yeah. To be honest, the main reason I started smoking Cool is because I grew up in the inner city of St. Louis, and when I was adolescent or before adolescent, our thing was to be cool. So the name Cool attracted me and attracted a lot of my friends.
See?
And so all of my friends were smoking Cools, and that was just our cigarette for in my crowd. So that's the main reason that I smoke Cool, because I wanted to be cool.
I get it. And that's really kind of the manipulating and the marketing to get us to smoke Cools and that particular brand. And the tobacco companies made a lot of money because of the fact that you smoke Cool. And then they targeted an advertisement about how cool is it to be cool and smoking a cigarette, and the Cool Jazz Festival. I remember advertising the Cool Jazz Festival, and I also remember ads in Jet and Ebony magazine when I was young and they highlighted Cool. So wow. So how many times did you try to quit before you actually quit, Mr. Moore?
When I was I would say, at the end of my use, and I tried to quit a couple of times, and I was so addicted to cigarettes, it was so difficult. I would quit for a little while, and then I would get those urges, those strong urges, and I start back. And the last time I quit in 94, it happened again. I quit for 5 months that time. That was the longest that I had quit. But I started back again after the 5 months, and I smoked for another month. Quick story. The reason that what made me quit for good,
Uh-huh.
I was working this program with these kids in an addiction program.
Uh-huh.
And I was telling these kids how wrong it was to be addicted to certain things. And then I was so addicted, I would sneak out and smoke a cigarette.
So
One of these kids caught me when I sneaked out. And I was so embarrassed that I decided that was it. I can't, betray these kids like this. So that was one of the incentives that made me quit.
Wow, that's a powerful incentive. That's a powerful incentive because you wanted to make sure you were being a good influence on the kids. You were telling them one thing, but you were doing another, and then you say, "I get that." So thank you. So when you started, when you stopped smoking, and even now today, you say you stopped in like 94. Now in 2021, do you ever still get urges to smoke?
No, my desire for smoking completely went away. It took a little while for it to go away, but now, I hate to even smell smoke. And it's because one of the main reasons because of the tragedies that happened in my family because of cigarettes.
Oh, you had family members?
When I smell smoke now, it reminds me of some of the things that happened in my family.
Oh, was a family member? So you had a family member addicted to smoke too? Other family members, and did they have a tragic life loss or experience by smoking?
My mother.
Oh, okay.
My mother was the daughter of a preacher, a Baptist minister, and they weren't allowed to smoke or none of that. But my mother was a rebel. So she, just like when I started out, she sneaked and smoked when she was very young. And she started smoking for a long time. And eventually it cost her her life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it cost her her life. And I saw the suffering that she went through at the end of her life because of cigarettes. She at first she got emphysema.
Yeah.
She was put on oxygen, and she eventually got lung cancer because and because even during that time when she had lung cancer, emphysema, she couldn't stop.
Wow.
One of my incentives to stop was to show my mother that it was possible.
Whoa.
And it didn't help her because she continued to smoke to her death, but it did help me.
Well, that's wonderful. And I'm sorry to hear about your mother and how she suffered through that, because, and it is tough to stop. And we're not about judging people, because it is an addiction. It is a kind of a disease. So, we've talked about how as a younger person, you were attracted to cools and you were attracted to the ads and things like that. Do you realize that menthol products were being targeted to you as a Black male in your community? Did you realize it then, or you just now realizing now, or are you still unaware that you were targeted as a Black male to smoke menthol cigarettes?
No, I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't think about it that much. It was just something that I did. I used to see these, when I was younger, they have these ads on TV about the Marlboro man. He was so cool on the horse. Joe the Camel, he was with his cigarette on the side and his shades on, which attracted me because, like I said, we wanted to be cool in the neighborhood that I was in. And all those things, attracted me to those cigarettes. Joe the Camel, my mother started with the Camel cigarettes. And that's when I first started smoking. I used to sneak her cigarettes when I was like 10 years old and 9, I'd sneak out of her pack. And that's what started me at the beginning, the Camels.
Wow. You said your mother realized that it was difficult for her to stop smoking even after she got sick. Did she express that to you? Did she have any regrets toward the end of her life and express to you how that made her feel and what she regretted about that?
My mother felt real guilty because she wasn't able to do it. I know she tried really hard to, and the addiction was so strong at that point in her life. This was after maybe 50 some years of smoking. Mm-hmm. So it was so hard for her, and she felt guilty that she wasn't able to stop. Right. You know, she tried very hard, and she would do, you know, my mother was very religious, spiritual person, and so she wanted to, you know, show other people that she was strong. And she was, but the addiction was just stronger than her.
It overtook her, yeah. And that's, you know, that's understanding. Like I said, we're not on this call about judgment. We know that it's a challenge. You know, our organization, we want to do something about helping the community and supporting people and helping them stop smoking, you know, because we understand the challenges. And so, when you stopped, you said that you had told me earlier that you had some health issues. Would you care to share about those health issues? And you said that because of your mother's, that was an incentive, but you also said that that you had some health issues. And so tell me about that. And was that the thing that said, I gotta stop? I know, and then being a role model for the kids that you were working with as a social worker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When I was smoking regularly, at one time I was smoking like a pack and a half of cigarettes a day.
Wow.
And I was. I was constantly in bad health. I would cough a lot. I would, bronchitis. I would get bronchitis quite a bit, you know, at times. It was, I never did feel good. I knew at that point, you know, when I started that phase of my addiction that I was, it was cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And I still had a problem quitting. I thought I could do it on my own. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the things my mother did. Mm-hmm. And I found out that I couldn't do it on my own. I needed help.
Wow. So so you had a health scare was a health scare was the thing that ultimately helped you stop? What health scare did you have? Mm-hmm. And if you don't mind going to be a personal.
Actually, my main health scare was after I quit. Mm-hmm. After I quit, they detected a spot on my lung. Mm-hmm. This is 20 years after I quit. Wow. Almost. Yeah. I don't know if it was from the cigarettes, but when they took a biopsy of the spot on my lung and found out it was cancerous. Mm-hmm. And so I had a early stage of a lung cancer. I had an operation. They cut part of my lung off where the spot was, and I have been cancer free. That was in 2013, mm-hmm. and I've been cancer free ever since.
Wow!
So that was the scare, the most serious scare that I had from I think it was from cigarette smoking. Wow. I can't think of what else it could have been, you know.
Well, Mr. Moore, we're glad you're here, you know, and to tell that story, you know, that will help people think twice, you know, like without judgment. But let me ask you this, due to a large amount and a disproportionate amount of death in the Black community, stress and anxiety due to the pandemic in the Black community, what would you say to people who are using tobacco to cope, but have been lured in by the tobacco industry to continue to smoke? Because we were already suffering and disproportionately affected by COVID. Now, COVID, there's an intersection with smoking and the COVID disease 19. So what do you think? What would you say to people who are being stressed out? They're trying to stop smoking. They want to stop smoking. They're facing COVID outside. I mean, what would you say about that? You know, what should people what word would you give people to support them in trying to make that transition and just really looking at themselves to say, now is the time to stop smoking? What would you say, Mr. Moore? Because you have the experience.
I think this is the opportunity for people to learn how to deal with stress in a positive way. Cigarettes is not a positive way to deal with stress. Since I quit, it forced me to learn how to deal with my stress in a different way. You know, now I exercise regularly. I look at my diet, you know, I do other things. I meditate at times, and that helped me not only with my stress, but with my physical well-being and a lot of other things. So by me quitting smoking, I had to learn other ways to deal with the stress. And it helped me not only to deal with stress, but it helped me to deal with other things in my life too.
Right.
I think I'm more healthy now than I were when I was 20 years old, to be honest, because I'm watching my health more.
Very good. That's good advice. It's really to start taking care of yourself, being mindful, you know, the meditation, the exercising. So that's really good advice for people to start thinking more about themselves, going inward, you know, so they can let go of some of the addictions that they have, you know, that's harmful to their body. That's really good advice, Mr. Moore. And back to like the role of the tobacco industry, you know, how they manipulated Black people into smoking, you know, like price promotion and price discounts. Do you remember in your neighborhood where they gave out free cigarettes when you were younger?
Oh yeah, we would get, I can't exactly remember where, but they would give us like 1 or 2 cigarettes to try it out to see if we liked that brand. You know, that they was trying to, you know, I can't exactly remember where, but I can remember they would give us a couple of cigarettes to try it out, and then to see if we would switch our brand to their brand.
Right. To remember that is something, you know, to
yeah. You know, it's, I wasn't aware of that they was, during those times, they didn't give much information about the danger of smoking. I wasn't aware that that my mother would be that sick because they didn't give us the information, and I didn't go seek it to find out if these cigarettes was dangerous for me.
Right. Wow, that is really something. And now, have you noticed currently now that what role, or do you notice places in Colorado now where you see the ads where they really pushing Black people to smoke, or people in general to smoke? Do you notice any ads now, or because you've stopped smoking, you kind of block that out? Do you see a real push for people to start smoking?
My thought is that it seems to me that the ads have been reduced since the time when I first started smoking, and that's a good thing. I don't see it because when I was during the time when I started smoking, it was ads all over the air everywhere. You know, most of the ads on TV and the advertisement was cigarettes. You know, like I said, was the Marlboro Man, Joe the Camel, and all other kind of cigarettes. Now, I don't see as many ads on TV like it was then. You know, they have reduced them. I don't know if that have helped reduce smoking any. You know, I still see a lot of people still smoking, even in my family. And even the ones that are aware of the health problems, you know, and that's and that might be because they are not seeking the right information, or that they don't know where to find it. And that's why I think what you guys are doing are really great, because that's the thing that helped me the most is when I found out more information about the cigarettes and the smoking. When I first quit, I went to a cessation program at East Side Clinic. And that's when I got the information, when I decided that I wanted to quit. And I told you before, it was so difficult for me to do it on my own.
Right.
So I had to get help. And the first place that I went was through my doctor. They had a cessation program at Eastside Health.
Yeah.
And they gave me some information about the procedures to go to quit, and some patches to help me quit.
Wow.
And from there, it took a while, but I did eventually quit.
You did it. You did it. And you're still tobacco free. You still tobacco free. That is wonderful.
And if I did it, anybody can do it.
Right. What would you tell young people today? I mean, I know you have a lot of messages, and everything that you say is really a powerful message for people. But young people who are, they're using the vaping now. They're using the
right.
jewels, and a lot of the jewels they don't realize that has as much nicotine in it, one jewel, as a pack of cigarettes. So, right. Have you seen any of your the nieces or nephews or the grandchildren or cousins, those kids using the jewels, the e-cigarettes?
Yes.
You see them?
I think a lot of them use it because lack of information. Mm-hmm. A lot of people that I've talked to with the vaping, they say that it's better than smoking cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And that's because they don't know. That was the same thing that when I was first started smoking menthol, uh-huh. I thought that the filter, just because it had a filter on it, would stop some of the danger of the cigarettes, and the way it tasted, the menthol tape, it wouldn't make it wasn't as harsh as like the Camels and the non-filter cigarettes. Right. So I was fooled that, and I think the same thing is happening right now with this vaping.
With the vaping, the kid, it's the fool. And when you say you were fooled, it's called manipulation.
Yeah.
And marketing. Exactly. And that is really what we're exploring, when we're working on this project, because it's a social justice issue, how we have been manipulated and marketed. Because you remember when we were young and the grandparents used the vapor world, the mentholated vapor rub, and you thought that would ease the pain and of the harshness of what was happening in your throat. Well, utilizing that menthol in the cigarettes, Black people thought, okay, that is a cool sensation.
Right.
And so even in the name, cool.
Right.
And so that was deception, and that was part of the manipulation. So you realize that, and because I like that you coming from that place of experience and that you are tobacco free now. How do you think smoking creates a financial burden in the Black community and Black people?
I can't imagine someone paying $10 a pack for cigarettes now. Like I said, at one point, I was smoking a pack and a half of cigarettes a day. Mm-hmm. That's what, $15 a day. If you multiply that time 30 days, I don't know. I'm not good with the math, but I know it's a lot.
Yes, it is a lot.
It shows me how addictive these cigarettes can be, because at one point I said to myself, if these cigarettes ever get to be $1 a pack, I'll quit for sure. Mm-hmm. I quit when it was $1.50.
Wow.
But now in some places in this country, I hear that it's maybe up to $10 a pack, and people are still buying them.
It went up in January in Colorado. The taxes on cigarettes went up high. So it is around $10 a pack. What do you think about banning menthol tobacco products, particularly in the Black community? What do you think about that?
Mm-hmm. The banning thing, I know it was tried with alcohol and was tried, with a lot of other stuff. And sometimes, like I was saying at the beginning, my mother started because she was very rebellious, and I think a lot of young people are rebellious by nature, and banning it, I have fear that it would make them go to a black market, mm-hmm. to find some way to get it. That might be helpful for some, but I think for my estimation, education is probably more valuable.
I like that. Yeah.
You know, I think education and like what you guys are doing, if we had more coalition like you guys have in this country, I think that would be more helpful than the banning. That's my opinion.
I really like that opinion, because more coalition and more, you say education, and bring about awareness. And that's what we're trying to do at the Colorado Black Health Collaborative, is bring about awareness. Because I heard someone say too, because a lot of Black people don't realize that it is a social justice issue and that we were targeted to smoke menthol cigarettes. So they don't realize that. Now, if they start saying, oh, it's a conspiracy against us, maybe, you know, opening their eyes and minds to hear something different about why we smoke a certain brand of cigarettes, was the menthol, which is really killing us disproportionately. And most of Black men are dying from lung cancer. You know, high rates of Black folks smoking menthol. And if they realize the history and how we've been targeted for decades, then maybe they will are willing to learn and have that awareness. So you're right. The education is really a key, and really the messaging, and really reaching out. We want everybody to hear what we're saying. We're not beating anybody up against the heads against the wall to stop smoking. Just education, like you said. And I like that was really your solution, because you became more aware. So we appreciate that. What do you recommend? How can you tell us to get more youth involved in our coalition, you know, to start smoking? What, you're a wise man. How can we get the youth more involved into addressing this social justice issue, you know, that's affecting us so much and disproportionately? Mm-hmm. What would you tell us to do as a coalition? And would you be willing to join our coalition?
Mm-hmm. We can talk about that.
Okay.
You know, what you guys are doing is you know, you this platform that you're using now, Facebook, you know, I think that you know, I know with the young people in my family, they constantly on Facebook. You know, I think if more of this kind of information was on Facebook instead of a lot of the other conspiracy stuff that's on there, it would be more helpful. Mm-hmm. You know, to meet people where they at. You know, the young people. I think this is the right time to do it, because you said because of the social justice issues that they are really focused on now. And if you tell them the same thing you just told me about, this is a social justice issue, I think they'll pay attention more. Okay. You know, but they need to hear that, because I hadn't even myself thought that about this as being a social justice issue, and I'm somewhat in that field. And I wasn't aware, and I never thought about that. And I'm sure a lot of young people haven't either.
Not thinking about. Well, yeah, you're right. Thank you for that comment, because that's one of the things we want to do, get more youth involved. You say continue to be on social media, letting them know it's a social justice issue, you know, letting them, bringing about awareness. Education is the key, and that's what we need to focus our attention on, educating the community. And that's what we've been trying to do. And that's why, Mr. Moore, we appreciate you coming on today on Real Talk, Menthol Moments, because we want to educate. And because we know you had a story, we know you had challenges with trying to quit smoking. And so we wanted you to tell your story. And I'm sure someone on this news feed is going to hear your story and going to say, I'm going to start thinking about that. So, Mr. Moore, we really appreciate you. The Colorado Black Health Collaborative is in the trenches doing this work to achieve health equity in the Black community. So we appreciate you coming on. And like you said, I can talk to you later about joining our coalition, so we can have more people at the table to help us to address this issue. So thank you, Mr. Moore, and I'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you, Thelma, for inviting me, and everybody else, and you keep up the good work.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.